Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sisterhood Society podcast. I feel like we're all joining this podcast bruised, battered, and broken.
Bruised, battered, and a little extra stress weight for me personally.
I am like holding it on by a thread. I made sure to put makeup on so that it would make me less likely to cry. So we'll get into that in our updates, but I guess I should just tell everyone because that was such a weird intro.
You'll be like the SNL skit where the water's just like
so sad. To make a really long story short, our dad had a medical emergency while he was on a trip, and our mom had to fly to be with him, and he had to have surgery. So it was like this long, drawn out process of them being gone. And in the meantime, they asked us to take care of their dogs. And so Tara came down to help me take care of the pups, and they are older and already had some ailments. And one of them declined pretty quickly while my parents were gone. And they got these puppies when I was 19. So they've been in our family's life for a really, really long time. So one of them, sweet little Ditto, went to doggy heaven today and is with Jesus. We think that she's running in a field with our previous dogs. Let's see. We have Snowball, Coocher, and we have the weirdest dog names. Whitney's Davy and Apple are up there. So we're just hoping that she's up there having the time of her life. Eating lots of treats. And so, yeah, it was a really sad day for our parents just to say goodbye. And it was a hard day for me. So anyways, I kept texting the girls. I'm like, are you guys okay? And they're like, yeah, we're fine. I'm like, why am I so emotional? But I also was around these dogs probably the most because I've lived with our parents twice since they've owned them. I also used to spend my summers in California in college, so I was around them a ton in college too. So I guess I was around them a lot more than I'm giving myself credit for. But they weren't my pet, but they were family pets. And, saying goodbye to a fur baby is harder than you think it is. And it's just really confirmed the fact that I cannot have an animal because my emotions are like here all the time. And I found out I am like psychotic with animals. So it's just too much for me.
I feel like I would be more affected by it if I didn't have my own children.
Yeah, Tara said that too, but I still think I would have a hard time with it.
Yeah, no, I know. But for my personality type, it's like the moment I had kids, all of a sudden it like put them as my priority and everything else takes second place,
Yeah.
Well, I personally was more removed from it than you guys because I wasn't down there to see them. So for me, I'm just like, oh, poor Ditto. I feel like I won't like notice until I'm down there and realize, oh, there's only one little guy running around.
Yeah. I think that it was like the emotions were heightened to like anytime you see like a dog decline, it's really awful to watch. And like my emotions are just, they're still probably not 100% after IVF. So I'm probably not in a place where I can like properly grieve the way I would normally. But I remember a couple years ago when Phil's parents had cats and they were like the family cats. They got them when Phil was like in grade school, I think, or maybe like junior high. And he likes animals, but he doesn't want to own one, just like the responsibility of it all and how much we travel. But he was like kind of teary when his parents were texting about like the family cats were, passing away. It's just, it's a weird thing. Like your childhood animal is no longer there. So if I talk about it too long, I might cry again. So we'll just say that she had a great life. And, I was thinking about her life. And I was thinking about the fact that majority of her life, she sat in the basking in the California sun, because they grew up in California. So those dogs had a really nice life full of lots of table scraps, treats, sunshine, great weather.
No exercise though. They didn't get a lot of exercise.
They did run around the backyard a lot.
They were more like house cats than they were little puppies.
Yeah, lap dogs, if you will. So anyways, if you've ever lost a fur baby, you know how it feels. And it's just not, I think when you get past like the initial shock of it all, it's like you feel better that the the animal's not in pain anymore. But anyways, it's been a long 2 weeks. I'm just ready to like have a week where nothing traumatic happens. We're just like, my biggest worry is like what I'm having for dinner and what book I'm going to read next, Yeah.
Honestly, it's put a lot in perspective, not just like obviously the passing of Ditto, but like our whole winter. It's put a lot in perspective that when I get on like Instagram and people are like complaining about their problems, I'm just like, wow, like what a life that must be like to have those as your problems. Like,
I know someone the other day was like so mad because she had like expired library books, like, when you have to like pay the fee. And I was like, I wish that was my worst issue right now. It was like this influencer was like mad that she had to pay like late fees. And I was like, what that would be so nice. Like, what would it be like? But no, I'm just making light of it because sometimes you have to laugh so you don't cry. I'm just kidding.
I sent you that one where that influencer was like, you guys, it's so embarrassing. I have to do this try on video for you guys. And there's cutouts on the stomach of this dress. And I only spray tanned my legs and my arms. And I was like, oh, that's so awful for you. You have
life is hard.
A white torso. I feel horrible.
Okay, let's talk about spray tanning really quick, or just like self tanning. I understand that people like the way they look tan, and I'm all for like the fake tan over like, ruining your skin and possibly getting melanoma, but it is so much work. And spray tans are so expensive. I like, obviously you guys can see if you're watching the YouTube version, I'm ghostly pale, which I'm fine with. But it was like, I just keep thinking like, sure, I might feel like a little thinner in these outfits if I was showing my legs, or like a little better about my skin. But like this one girl went viral on TikTok for her whole routine of how before she gets a spray tan, she had 3 days of what she does like prep wise. And I was like, life is too short. Like I just literally like, there's no way, one, I would have the time to do that. And two, just to look tan, maybe I can't relate, but
I think it's more so that I feel bad for them, the pressure that they must be under to have to do all those things.
That's true.
Like the upkeep alone on everything that they have to take care of.
Yes.
They're basically selling themselves to be able to make money. Right. So I'm sure the pressure is great in that industry. So I feel, I do think about it a lot because I'm like, they can't even go to the pool without feeling like they've got to be decked in like jewelry and hats and sunglasses and like, new shoes and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, that would just be exhausting to me.
When I go to the pool, I look like an actual gremlin. Like, I don't understand how people put makeup on at the pool. I literally look horrid at the pool. I look like Shrek. Like no makeup. I got sunscreen on, but like my hair is in like a greasy top knot because I'm going to wash it after the pool. Like when people are wearing full makeup and like body jewelry, I'm like, aren't you hot? I don't know. People don't live in the South.
One of the things that bothers me too is when I see people with their hair down at the pool. If you have long hair, or they've got it in like braids, and I'm like, you're gonna get tan lines from your hair.
How do you not get necklace lines from jewelry that you wear?
I think about that a lot. They must tan so evenly, and I don't. Like certain things are always getting tanner than the others. My legs get tanner than like some things. My boobs are always burnt. There is no tan. It's just red. My shoulders are really, really burnt, but then my arms don't get as tan as my legs. It's like, I don't understand how this isn't like a microwave situation where everything is even. You know what I mean?
It's probably like, it's like topography though. Like, so like anything that's like closer to the sun gets like more sunlight.
Well, and it's weird because like, I like don't look good in one pieces, but I feel as though I don't have the stomach to sport any sort of two piece. And a tankini feels very matronly to me. And so there's like a one piece is also humbling because I'm very long torsoed and have really big boobs. So I'm in this place where like literally no swimsuits look good on me. And so I don't really feel that good in general at the pool. But if I was going to go to the pool with my stomach out, my stomach doesn't really get tan because my boobs almost create a shadow. You know what I mean? So I have to be like laying all the way flat to get any tan on my stomach.
That's exactly like my thing too. It'd be like this half of my stomach does not get tan because my boobs are in the way.
The strip right underneath the breast line is like pale, but then like my actual gut will get really dark.
And I'm at the point now too where my butt is so big that like the part underneath my butt, like my thighs, it like is shadowed by my butt. So
very
now
relatable.
Half moon.
Okay, I've actually gotten sunburned in Mexico where I have 2 half moon shapes right underneath my boobs on my tummy that were white under where my boobs were. So that's what I'm saying. Like I think I was wearing like a bra, like cup type of like bikini top. This was like for my 5-year anniversary. And I was like significantly smaller than I am now. So who knows? I mean, no telling what would happen. Well,
anyways, you just don't lay out and then you don't have to worry about the suntan. I mean,
but I also like don't care who's looking at me at the pool. You know what I mean?
You're in Florida and I was like covering my legs with a towel. You and Brian were like, don't you want to get some sun on your legs? And I was like, no.
Well, your legs were literally see-through. Like I literally couldn't see them because they were blending with the concrete, the white of the concrete. But 2, I feel like it was less about you getting a tan and more because like the vitamin D of it all, you know?
I am on a very high dose of vitamin D.
Like when I'm in Florida and the sun's out, I just want to I want to get the good vibes from the sun, not necessarily like I'm trying to get a lot of sun because
I like
a 7-day
vacation under an umbrella.
So, really what we're saying here is like we should be self-tanning because all these things would be solved if we all self-tanned.
Yes. We just made the case for self-tanning with all of our body shadows.
I'm like, now bringing it back. Now I understand it. I think I just had to talk myself through it.
You're like, and our sponsor for today is Loving.
Yeah. Have you ever heard that phrase? It's like, what is it? Like, if you can't lose it, tan it or whatever, or like fat looks better tan or something.
I haven't heard that, but I wish Loving Tan would sponsor us because they're so expensive. And they're the best.
If you were going to self-tan, the best brand that I've used literally twice was Loving Tan.
I love
the other thing. If you're curvy, it takes like, half a bottle. And then also if you're home alone, you have to have someone do your back.
And so here's okay. I watched a lot of YouTube channel or videos about this. Mainly, this was back when I was like 60 pounds skinnier, because I was modeling a lot for Royal and Reese back when we had to model clothes. So the first thing you do is you do your arms like this, each arm, and then you go up on your back.
Oh,
like this. And then you go down your back like this.
But what about that middle portion?
Oh, can't you reach up here?
You put it on the back of your knuckles like this, and then you go up and you can get the middle.
Yeah, I feel like I still wouldn't be able to reach it.
Really?
Also, are you self-tanning all of your bits?
What do you mean by all of my bits?
Like, are you self-tanning your bare boobs?
Oh, I mean, you're calling those your bits?
Well, okay.
I know. I was like, what kind of bits are we talking?
Like, I kind of feel like it's pointless to like, I feel like you would only self-tan where you would wear a bathing suit. Or like what would show.
Apparently that's what was happening to that influencer because she had a white tummy.
That's so funny.
I just realized we haven't even done our what's good.
I know. What I was going to say is my Instant Cart just came up and he originally said he couldn't find pretzel buns and I was about to be so devastated, but he said, never mind, I found them.
Speaking of that, you should maybe tell the story about the last Instacart that we did that took an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh. You guys, I live and breathe and die by Instacart. Like it is like, I don't go to the grocery store hardly ever anymore unless I'm going to Trader Joe's. And when I go to Trader Joe's, it is cheaper, but it's like, it's a 20-minute drive. And I usually don't go unless I'm going for like 2 full weeks of groceries. Cause me and Phil, our schedules are really opposite. Anyways, you don't need to know that. So Tara and I were going to get, what was it for? It was like the next morning we needed turkey for the dogs.
Yeah, that was the main thing.
And she couldn't wait, she didn't even bring, oh no, it was that yogurt. We needed
Yeah,
yogurt for the dogs
that's what it was.
for their routine. And then we needed like cereal for the kids, milk, like yogurt. Like basically our parents didn't have any groceries because they hadn't been home for like 3 months. And so we were trying to get like basic necessities like cereal for the kids and whatnot.
It felt like we ordered like 9 things.
Yeah, like it was less than 10 items. And I put the order in at like
8:15.
Yeah, or no, it was 7:30. It was supposed to get delivered at 8:15 because I have and with Instacart with like your membership, you have an option for $2 more to get the like express, which is really worth it. Like I almost always do it because I'm always like ordering in a time crunch. Otherwise, it's like a 4-hour period where it could just show up wherever. I kid you not, these groceries showed up at like 10:40. I had to stay up until they got there because I was worried that like the milk would sit out all night. And every time took her like 15 minutes per item. And then I kept messaging her being like, can you please give me an ETA? Because the last delivery time is normally like 9:15 p.m. They don't usually like deliver at 11 o'clock at night. And she kept being like, yes, trying to find everything for you. And I was like, she's been at the grocery store for over 2 hours. Like, and it was like wild. So then I'm like going in and editing my order and trying to like erase things so that she would go quicker. And it literally didn't help. Like it just still was like 20 minutes an item. It was crazy. And she was like zigzagging the store because you can track like what they're picking up. And I'm like, why is she like not in produce? Like, anyways, it was a really long situation. I should have gotten a refund for that order. I totally forgot.
Yeah, you should have gotten your express cart for sure. But
I know. Need my $2 back.
The funny part is that it wasn't like it was random items. It wasn't like they were like weird name brands. Like it was literally like crunch berries, milk,
Greek yogurt.
Yeah, like I think some bottled water,
hot dogs.
Hot dogs. It was very basic items. So it wasn't like it was random things that you would be like baking with that you would never know or see or before or anything like that. And but you said when she delivered the person who was on the Instacart profile, yes, it wasn't that person. She thinks it was her daughter that did it. I'm
pretty sure this girl was like 14 and she was like making money under her mom's name. Like, and another thing, I will give her this, the bag of mini cucumbers is hard to find. Every Instant Carters, I was like, I can't find it. Oh wait, I found it. So I will give her that, but that should have given her like maybe an extra 10 minutes, not like 2.5 hours. It was insane. We have lots of wild moments from the last 2 weeks that we hung out, but we'll save it.
If you're on Patreon, you got to see a lot of them.
That's true.
And if you are on Patreon, the last week I felt like was starting to seem a lot of the same. So I was going to do like a compilation of the last couple of days of the trip. And what I was thinking is what I should do is just do a video of just Biggie outtakes.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh. It would be like insane. Okay.
You
so we'll start.
What I just thought of.
But
Isaac would be really good at being an Instacarter.
Mm-hmm. He should pick that up on the side. We'll start giving plasma and Isaac can be Instacart. Because he loves getting out.
I'm texting him right now because that dude knows almost every grocery store with like in town, and
that's legit
laid out.
A good idea. And I think they make like decent money, and he likes to like get out at night and go.
Oh my gosh, he loves it.
He'll get the order and he'll be like, I'm already actually here. So
yeah, he's like, perfect. Great, I'm already here. I'll just swing by and get your stuff while I get my stuff.
Like, this is my favorite hang spot. So
yeah, if you're listening
to make some money.
If you're listening and you want to know what Isaac is like, he goes to the grocery store once a day, pretty much.
I probably order Instacart once a day.
This isn't for like meals though. To like, he'll be like, oh, we're out of milk. Oh, I need to get some Fresca. Oh, we're out of diapers.
I do that with Instacart though, because it's free delivery. So like if I'm out of LaCroix or like I forgot an ingredient for dinner, I'll be like, oh, I'll just get enough stuff that like they can deliver it.
It's free delivery, but you have like service charges and stuff. So like
it's not enough to like make it worth getting in my car because gas is so expensive, you know?
Sure. Isaac would be like, absolutely not. I'll go get it for you.
Kate's like, I'm so bougie over here.
It's like my service fees are like they're like $2 to $3, maybe $5 on the high end if it's like a really big order. But to me, that like the 2 hours that I saved getting to do what I want was worth $5 to me.
How are these Instacarters getting money for this then? If each
They make
order
well, I don't know because I think that the grocery store might charge more per item, but then I also heard that that's a myth. But I think that they get your tip and then they get like a percentage of the cart or something. I actually don't know.
It just doesn't feel like it is. Yeah, you'd have to have something set up at the grocery store because that does not feel like it'd be worth my time. Because if the tip is $5 and then you got a percentage of the cart, let's just say the cart is like $100 and you got 10% of it. That means you've made $15 to go like get someone's order and spend an hour of your time. Like,
right.
I mean, and then you have to use your gas. Like, to me, wait, you have Isaac check it out and report back.
Yeah. Next episode, let us know.
I'll have him look into it. I just texted him and said that you need to be an Instacarter.
Okay, let's start doing our what's good now that we've talked for 30 minutes about self-tanning groceries. Oh my gosh. Okay, Whitney, go first.
My what's good is today I officially believe in seasonal affective disorder. Not that I didn't believe it before, but I believe that I had it this year specifically. Because the sun came out and it was 60 degrees and I opened all the windows and I sprayed down my house with this one house spray that smells amazing. And I sat outside in the sun like a little house cat. And while Isaac was at meetings, so I had to watch Chi Chi. And I literally feel like a new person.
Nice.
Yeah. So today, my good is the fact that the sun came out and I could open my windows in my house.
That does make a huge difference when it rains a lot here because I always joke it's like the Seattle of the South. And when it rains multiple days in a row, it does. I know some people really like rain. I only like rain on it's very specific, like a Sunday afternoon. And I don't want to be home alone, because if it's raining and I'm home alone, I'm depressed. But if it's like raining and I'm making soup and Phil's home and it's like cozy, that's different. But if I'm home alone, it makes me sad.
If I don't have to go out in it, I could care less. But if I have to go out and like go to the grocery store in the rain, that is annoying to me.
See, that's when you get an Instacart.
Tara, your house is probably so dark when it rains because you guys don't turn on all the
lights on.
Also, why don't you do Instacart? Because you could benefit from it the most.
Me?
Yeah.
Aside from her bank account not benefiting.
Yeah, Brian doesn't really love paying the extra fees, but what we've been doing is, actually, he's been going to the grocery store after work, but what we did today is I put in an order for Walmart pickup and then set it for the time for him to just be able to get it.
Except you guys kept having those weird faux pas where you were getting like 3 pounds of bananas.
Well, yes, you do have to read very carefully because we've had it where we've gotten like one single banana, or we've had it where we've ended up with 5 bunches of bananas because
that's what they do with garlic. One time I was trying to get a quantity of garlic and it was a pound.
Yes.
So I literally got a pound of garlic and you can't change the metrics. It's so annoying.
Well, you have to, so on bananas, they have an organic listing and a regular listing. And on Walmart, I don't know if it's changed or not, but it used to be that like the organic was by the bunch and the other one was by this number of bananas. Yes. So if you didn't watch it closely, it could really get you.
I also don't take the time to do the substitutes. Like if this is out, they have to give you a substitute and I don't usually do that. So then sometimes they just substitute with the most random things and you're like, no. And that makes Phil really mad. Okay. What's your good?
Well, I'm home after being in Nashville for 2 weeks, which is bittersweet because it's good to be home and good to be in routine. I feel like I'm catching up on everything. Cause you kind of feel like you're putting a pause on life, but I was telling Whit and Kate that I feel like I left a big piece of my heart in Nashville because mom and dad came home Friday night and we obviously haven't seen dad since November. So it's just good to be with him and be able to catch up some and stuff. And then, and then, head home after that. But the, but I feel like we made the best of the 2 weeks. It was a little rough. Like the dogs have diabetes. And so we had a lot going on with that. And Ditto started having like glaucoma, which we didn't know. And so we had to ladle her pee, which was interesting.
That's on the Patreon. If you want to see it.
Well, you don't actually see us ladle the pee. Whit was upset that we didn't film that, but I was like, we were a little out of sorts during.
Well,
I was so upset because I was like, oh my gosh, you left us hanging. You're sitting there like swinging the ladle around. And I was like, wait, where is it?
Well, let me just preface the fact that, did I seem more like myself this past weekend?
Yes. I felt like the second week you were much better than the first.
Yeah. To make a very long story short, after the stress of it all and my mom left to go be with our dad, I was home alone with the dogs, and I felt like there was something wrong with the dogs too. Like I could definitely tell that things weren't normal. Plus I'd never given an animal an insulin shot before. So that was like really freaking me out. Phil left for Europe, which was a whole nother layer to it. So he was going to be gone for 10 days and he was really far away. So just the stress of like my mom having to leave in the middle of the night, Phil leaving, I had to drop him off at the airport and then basically like move into my parents' house to watch their dogs. Since they were older, I didn't really feel comfortable like leaving them alone for long periods of time with this new diagnosis. So it was kind of like my anxiety was already like high, but then I literally could not stop crying. Like I felt like my emotions were like right here all the time. And no matter what I was doing, I felt like my heart was like racing, or I was like, my thoughts were like on a loop. And I don't usually I feel like I struggle with like situational anxiety. Kind of like when our parents were flying home in a tornado and didn't know it on Friday. Oh my gosh, it's been so crazy. And, but long story short, I think Whitney is the one that first made the connection. Like your estrogen level is so high from egg retrieval. Cause at this point, the day we found out about our dad was like less than a week from my egg retrieval time. So they said like, once you start your period, you're going to skyrocket again. Your estrogen's going to rise. And so they had told me to be like a couch potato for 2 full weeks. They were like during IVF, like during shots and during, or like post egg retrieval. So basically like a full month of your life, they want you to like not work out, be super chill, least amount of stress as possible, which I felt like during the like shots process, I like crushed. Like I really felt like this year I've been like super laid back. But this really put me in a tailspin. And I'm very empathetic. And so I was just like constantly assessing the emotions of the dogs and making sure they were okay. And I kept having to like tell myself they're just dogs. But like in my mind, I like couldn't rationalize that at all. Like I was just so like obsessive about making sure they were all right. Plus, I happen to love these dogs probably more than the rest, like probably as much as our mom and dad do. So anyways, by the 4th day, had like a full on mental breakdown, and Tara was like, that's it. I'm packing up the kids. I'm coming to Nashville. So she ended up coming. And then the first day I was still acting like a psycho. And she was like, okay, you're going to go home. And I cried like 3 more times in your car. We had this like really traumatic night at Baja Burrito. And no, wait, that was a different night.
I think that was later in the week. We were in the car and I was dropping you off back at home and you were just like, I know it's not like rational. Like my thoughts aren't matching our emotions. And I was like, okay, get your pillow. We're going to drop you home. And you're just going to
She's like, go home, get your stuff and sleep in your own bed. So like, I think it was just
both to be here. Like it's double. So,
right.
So then I like bit the bullet and did the shots, and we were having like the neighbor come down and help us. And so anyway, I bit the bullet, got the shots, like, out of the way, and then felt comfortable doing it myself. And so Kate got to sleep in her own bed and I manned 4 dogs.
Well, it was also helpful for me to like help take the weight of the business too, so that you felt like you could focus on the dogs and the kids. Because I also feel like, as a business owner, when you go through like big things, you don't always have the opportunity to just like take time off. And we're such a small team post-pandemic that we don't really have like tons of people to like quote unquote cover for us. So you still have to like have planning meetings and run ads and like all the things that you would normally do, but now you have all this like extra added stress in the background. So anyways, it's good that it's over. I definitely feel way more like myself now, with all the
I would say as a whole, it was super distracting because it was really hard to be managing dogs and kids and then also trying to work. And so I felt like my attention span for doing stuff was really minimal. So I didn't feel like I was overly effective most days. And so then it would get to like certain days and we'd be like, okay, we've got this stuff going on. And so let's just run a code, because we're just like the day our parents came home, we were like, we're running 40% off and we're just going to deal like however it goes. Because I was like, I need to strip sheets. I need to like clean up the house. I need to, the kids were getting like a sign for my dad and like a welcome home sign. Brecken wanted to like decorate the kitchen. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get all this stuff done in the midst of like, manning the dogs and then pick them up at the airport at 5. Yeah. And then we proceeded to go to we were like, since we ran the code, let's go get a babysitter for the kids and go get a pedicure. And we're sitting, I don't think we've been there more than like 15 minutes and the power goes out. Like the weather was like insane. It was like 70-mile-an-hour winds. I was trying to like video us as we're walking in and the wind is so strong, you cannot even hear me talking. And so it was like nuts. So we sit down and we're like going through the pedicure. Kate's like, let me treat you to pedicure for coming down to help me. I was like, great, that'll be great. I haven't had a pedicure since last July.
It was much needed. It was more like, no, really, let me give you this pedicure. Like you really need it.
The gal was like, would you like your toenails cut down? And I was like, yes, as a matter of fact, I would.
You're like, they've only been growing for a year.
And then the power goes out. So we sit in the dark and the gal's like, I just want to let you know that, you can't hold me responsible for the painting job that I'm doing on your toes because I can't see them.
Well, and also I'm like, the one day that we tried to take like a half day, because I worked until noon. The one day we tried to take a day off and do something for ourselves. Then we go to a pedicure and there's like tornadoes happening and the power goes out. I'm like, for the love, I'm like, God, we need a win. Just this week, we need like one win. So anyways.
So she drops me off at home. And I relieved the babysitter, and then Kate, they didn't have their credit card machine wouldn't work. So she had to drive, they made her drive to her. Like if you're in that situation as the owner of the nail salon, wouldn't you think like, you'd be like, hey, how about we like Venmo? We can Venmo.
Yeah. Like make it easy on the customer. Don't be like, all the lights are out because the power is out on the entire street. So figure it out. I literally felt like she was like, and she was like, and come back with cash. And I was like, cool. Like, how do I get back to you? The power's out. Like all of the lights were out. And I literally it took me an hour and a half to drop off Tara, go to the bank, come back to Whitney and Tara, like, should we pray? And I was like, I'm really stressed out because I can't get out of this parking lot.
Well, because the traffic lights were out. So it became a 4-way stop. And apparently people in Tennessee, we found this out at lunch on Saturday. They don't have to take a driver's test. They just have to take the written.
A rational human would treat it like a 4-way stop and let one car go from each direction. The people that were going straight on either side were going like 5 cars at a time. And we're like, people that need to turn left are like, we're never getting out of here. So they're like trying to go forward. And I was trying to go left. So I was like, I am never getting out of this parking lot.
Kate said that a truck pulled out into the intersection and was just like, the whole time he's just like trying to turn left.
He's so like, that people let me know. For the love of God.
Like, don't hit me.
I know. So I literally was like, forward my mail to Bella Nail Spa. I live here now because I literally can't get out.
Kate was stressed like the rest of the afternoon. She was like, well, we found out the radio towers were down at Nashville Airport at like 2:45 and our parents landed at 5:20. And so she's like, do you think they're going to get in? Like, what if they get rerouted? And I'm like, it would be just our luck that they would send them to Charlotte and we would have to like drive to pick them up. I'm like, it would be the perfect end to this godforsaken 2 weeks that we have.
Literally. I was like, if they ask us to pick them up in Atlanta, I'm telling them to rent a car because I'm not going.
And like, all of these stories are just like the tip of the iceberg. Like this is just like our normal life now, like what we have come to expect on a daily basis. And then we've got influencers over here just like sad that they didn't like spray tan their bellies. So
no shade against
Mom and Dad got in,
influencers.
so that was the important thing. They got in. They were very touched. It was very sweet. My dad said to Brecken, and he's been on hundreds of flights in his lifetime, if not thousands, I guess. And he said that no one has ever thrown him a homecoming like that before. And he thought it was so sweet that she had done that. So he cried, and then she cried, and then I cried, and it was very heartfelt.
There's been a lot of tears the last 2 weeks. Speaking of family, if you did not listen to our last podcast episode with our mom, we pre-recorded it before all of the mess went down, but it's a really special podcast. And
we recorded it the day that dad had his emergency.
Same day.
Oh,
it was
wow.
the same day. He said dad's in Palm Springs golfing, and I was like, wow, that did not age well.
Literally. Wow. But you know what's cool? And I felt this way through IVF, like with all the stuff that I've gone through and just in general, like, I feel like what I've learned in these seasons is how like beautiful our family and our community is. Like our extended family and friends have literally come out of the woodwork to be like, what can I do? And my parents' neighbors, for the love, are like the nicest people on the planet. One of her neighbors was coming at 6:45 in the morning and 7 p.m. for 4 days straight and helping us give shots to diabetic dogs and taught us a trick about yogurt that literally saved our lives. Like she was literally coming at 6 a.m. Like who does that? It's just like so
and
sweet.
She would text in between and ask like how the dogs were doing and like in on us. And then one night we like had run out of turkey or whatever, and she was like, I'll meet you in the driveway. And she meets me out on the sidewalk and hands me some deli turkey because we had run out. Like
she also gave us some like shout out Patty, honestly, like she is the realest. She's the MVP. She also gave us glucose strips when we were trying to test it. I was peeing the ladle. I mean, it was
well, and Hillary helped you, this is shout out Hillary. Hillary came over. She's a big fur baby lover. And she was showing or trying to help Ditta like find her water bowl because she went blind in the midst of glaucoma. And so it was very sad. But Hillary is the real MVP because one of the dogs peed on the rug and Hillary stuck her nose in it to check to see if it was water. He
goes, do you want me to smell it? And I'm like, I really don't. Like, I actually don't want you to smell it. She's like, you guys, it's fine. And then she like kids her head down. She's like, that's weird. It doesn't smell like my dog's pee. She's like, I'm super confused now. I'm like, ew. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. That dinner, I like feel like we need to redo next time without children because I don't know if anyone was able to have like an actual conversation between me stressing out about the dogs. Katie had Judah, who's like a year old. He just turned 12 months or he's like 13 months. And then like Hillary and I are both stressing about like dogs/kids. And then there's 4 kids running around and everyone's screaming. And it was a sight to behold. I don't know if anyone was able to enjoy themselves at all. Oh my gosh.
Kate got a real wide open picture of what it's like to have dinner out with 4 children. So
there's no intentional time to be had. Like unless you have your kids on iPads or whatever, you cannot sit and have a conversation with your friends.
I also think though that this is like going 0 to 1,000 because you have 4 children under the age of 8 and under. Whereas like, I'm just looking to have 1 right now. Like if I could just get 1, that'd be fine. But we like when you don't have kids and then you're trying to have dinner with 4 kids, it is very different.
Well, I think we need to, like, before we move on to the history, we need to end on our lunch at Liberty Common because that was, I think, maybe the icing on the cake. And so we sit down at the table. There's like these kind of flimsy wood chairs. And for whatever reason, Brecken is sitting on the edge of them. And so within the first 10 minutes, she like has it tipped forward and the chair comes out from under her and the chair goes flying 5 feet behind her. And
like
the
a bullet out of a gun, just like shotguns.
We're all like,
Lies.
what just happened? And she hit her shoulder on the table, which was like a marble tabletop.
Yeah.
And so she's like kind of, hurting, like moaning about her shoulder and stuff like that. The table behind us is like trying to figure out why this chair just came flying at them. And I was like, you need to sit your butt back on the chair and make sure you're not tipping forward on it, So she sits down, we eat lunch, whatever. I had just fed the kids all lunch before we left, and then we get there and then they say they're starving, which is typical. But we make it through the lunch. I give Briggs like my phone to watch, which is like, our typical. We come back from the bathroom and then all hell broke loose. Briggs like picks up the butter knife and he's like trying to stab it into the wall and like going at Britton with it. And then he steals her headband off of her head and he like wants her headband. So I'm trying to, it's like a booth and then the other side is like chairs. And so I'm coming around the side and I can't quite reach him. And so I'm having to like lean over and pull him out by the legs because he will not come to me because the two of them are playing tug of war over the headband and he will not give it back. So there's lots of screaming going on. And then about that time, Brecken decides to flip her chair back again. And it goes flying out again, and she nails her chin on the edge of the table.
I thought she hit her mouth because I was afraid she knocked her teeth.
She bit her lip and she hit her chin on the table. So she's got this big red like goose egg on her chin. And so she's bawling and holding her chin. And like, I was like, okay, lunch is over. We're getting out of here. And Briggs is carrying this stupid headband all the way back to the car. And Britton's like, give me my headband. He won't give it. He's not going to the car. So I have to carry him. We get in the van and that little turd puts that headband on his head, cockeyed. So it's like half on his cheek and half on his head. And he's got his passy and he's just looking out the window. Like he's got no care in the world with the headband on his head. I will pull up the photo for you because he wore it all the way home until he fell asleep and Britton was able to steal it back.
You know what this week made me discover?
What?
It made me realize why Whitney gets away with murder when we got
it's a little pearl headband. And that's how he wore it the whole way home.
The week made me realize, one, that Briley is your easiest child.
Oh yeah.
For sure. And it made me realize why Whitney always got away with murder, because the quiet ones you just kind of forget about because the other ones are making so much noise that you kind of forget about the quiet ones. So Briley can really do anything in her life and it's not going to matter because she's just flying under the radar. Yes. And I really enjoyed her company. She really helped me with that.
It took you 33 years to figure that out.
No, I always knew it, but just like seeing it again in a new generation, I think just helped to set it in perspective. Because I lived it with you. With Briley, I was like observing and I was like, wow, she's really she could be really sneaky, but you would never know because she's really not making any waves, Yes. So Briley was very well behaved, I would say, all week. And she doesn't ask questions. Mm-hmm. She doesn't try to antagonize. She's a really stunning individual, I have to say.
Except the one time that I was on the phone with my friends and Britton comes down and says Briley tried to choke her. And I'm going, we do not put our hands around anyone's neck. And they were like, what just happened over there?
See, that's what I'm saying. The quiet ones, they'll catch you off guard. No, I mean, Briggs is so much fun. Obviously, like he's at a really fun age. He's just like, you just have to be watching him more closely. Yeah.
And he's loud.
He's very loud. Like he doesn't have like you can't like level. Turn down the volume of Briggs. Like it is just like Mommy! Just 20%.
Oh my gosh. We were watching Cinderella over the weekend with Chi-Chi. It was me, Isaac, and Chi-Chi. And we were watching the mice. And Isaac goes, oh, Gus reminds me of Briggs. I was like, why? And he's like, because his little shirt doesn't fit over his belly. And he's just like so happy-go-lucky. Everybody loves Gus.
And I will agree that I do think kids don't do as well when they're not in their own environment. Because Tara was like, I feel like we can't go places here without them like having a meltdown or like they're acting like extra excited and stuff. And I do feel like not sleeping as much as they normally would at home and like the excitement of being in a new place, I do think like rattles kids up. So I don't think that your kids are like misbehaved or that like it doesn't like, honestly, the kids weren't what stressed me out. I was just stressed about the dogs. Like I couldn't like separate it. And I remember texting Whitney and was like, I just feel guilty because I want to like enjoy my nieces and nephews, but my mind is like so split. And she's like, this isn't the trip to enjoy them. It's okay. You can enjoy them next time.
Like, we'll be back at spring break.
Yeah, they didn't notice a difference, so that's a good thing.
I know. Well, I feel guilty. We'll have to do the history quiz next time because clearly this is just a catch-up episode. But I was gonna say I feel guilty because I feel like in a lot of times past, especially when we had the warehouse, like we weren't around the house as much when the kids were growing up. And I felt like I was like super present with like Breck and Riv and Indy. And a little bit more so like when Briley was little, but I feel like once they were all starting to get in like toddler and stuff and like the business got busier, that when I was around them, it was like fewer and far between because I'd get like an hour with them at dinner. And so like when they're in Nashville, I want to make like intentional time for them, which I feel like last summer when they were here and stuff and like spring break, I tried to, but this is more, this trip, I just felt like mentally I couldn't like compartmentalize things until towards the end of the trip for sure. But
while we were recapping the trip, we had a poop incident one of the days, and it wasn't with the dogs. And I had sent the girls up to shower, and then I hear just like lots of screaming. And they come down, they're like, Briggs is chasing after us with poop. And I was like, what? So I go upstairs and he had taken off his diaper and he had there was poop on a pillowcase. There was poop on the floor in one bedroom. There was poop on the floor in another bedroom. There was poop down the hallway. And then he sat on a chair in one of the bedrooms.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I could not handle that. Like I would be so furious. I would have to like tap out and tap eyes again. Like,
so, so the bad part about it is that I went up there and I got Resolve and I got it all cleaned up. I got it came out of the pillowcase, all that stuff.
Did it come out of the chair?
Well, here's the thing. I forgot to clean it before I left. So I need to call mom and let her know that there's.
What's really rich about the story is that mom doesn't know yet.
Mom doesn't know yet.
Oh my gosh.
There's a quarter size spot on the chair in your room that has poop on it.
How could you forget? Oh my gosh.
When I tell you that my kids didn't brush their teeth for several days, I'm telling you, we were surviving. We were not thriving.
This was like the trip where like everything went wrong. And at some point you had to like laugh so you don't cry. Like it was literally one of those things where like every day something like horribly went wrong. Like we were going to try to have this like fun night out at Target and work was just like not great. And, Tara's like, oh, let's go to Target. And then Briley starts crying and ends up having like a raging ear infection. And we go to prompt care. And this was like the night that I was still planning on sleeping. It was like your second day here. I was still planning on sleeping at the house. And then just like, I don't know why, but I like when you said, why don't you take the van and take Britton and Brecken to Target, instantly I was like panicked. I don't know why, which now I'd be like, sure, that's fine. Like I would not stress me out. But at the time I was like, I literally was like, how am I going to drive? It was one plaza over. Let me just like set the stage. Like this is like a less than 30-second drive to Target to park and then go on the inside. But like then the whole time I was in Target, I was paranoid. You know how that like people are saying that kids are getting like taken from Target and like people are like bird calling to each other and like using like walkie-talkies.
Kate, what you're explaining is exactly what I felt postpartum.
Yeah, I felt like you nuts. Literally nuts.
You have these intrusive like racing thoughts that you can't stop and you want to stop them, but you can't stop them.
Yes.
Just keep coming up with new scenarios of how your kids are going to like get harmed and how you have to make sure that you're attentive and like not sleeping on certain things and making sure you think about all the details. So that way one of your children doesn't get taken or walking off with or whatever. And then when you're finally settled at home, then you think of ways that they could somehow hurt themselves. So then you go and hide all your knives and you go and like put all your scissors like really high up, even though you've got like a newborn that can't move yet. Like it's just like your body is just so insane. So I knew when you were explaining it that it was estrogen dominance because that's exactly what I had gone through.
Well, I never told you the story, and now looking back, it's funny. But at the time, like I feel really bad about it. This guy was like in the kids' clothing section, and I had just heard this like TikTok about how like traffickers are like camping out at like Walmarts and Targets and like kids areas where there's going to be like kids milling about. And Britain was trying to look for clothes at the same time as Brecken is, and their clothes were like two different sections away from each other. And so Britain kept like wandering, and I kept being like, please stay close to the cart. And I'm like acting, of course, very paranoid. And this guy kept walking over, looking at the kids' clothes. And I was like, he's being kind of dodgy. Like, why is this guy so dicey? And I was like, keeping an eye out for Selena. I was watching him like a hawk, like seriously. And I was like, this guy is so weird. Like, I don't understand why he's here. And so every time Britain's walking away, I'm like, Britain, stay close to the cart. And then like 2 seconds later, his wife comes up with their kid. It was definitely just like a Brentwood dad shopping with his wife and like 8-year-old daughter. And I felt like such a jerk, but I was like, seeing an older, like 45-year-old man, like it'd be like if Brian was in the little girl section looking at clothes alone, you'd be like, it feels a little sus. So there was nothing really to be worried about.
Well, we also, with the 70-mile-an-hour winds, mom and dad's garbage cans put a big dent in the side of the van. So that happened
this week.
I should have put them away, but I didn't think they were going to go like flying in like the side of my van like a torpedo. Briggs decided to spit milk up the steps like for the entire staircase. And so he got done and he was like, Mommy, look, milk. And there was like milk on every single stair. And then we had, then Ditto developed glaucoma. So we took her to the vet, and we took both dogs because we were like, well, let's get their blood sugar checked while we're there. So we take them both plus the 4 kids. So I'm trying to figure out how to get them all inside plus Briggs. He falls asleep on the way to the vet. And so I'm trying to drag him in and make sure that the girls don't drop the other 2 dogs and get them inside. And then they come out and they're like, well, it's not her blood sugar. She is blind and she has a lot of pressure in her eyes. So you're going to do these 2 pills, 1 3 times a day, 1 2 times a day. And then these 2 eye drops, 1 3 times a day and 1 2 times a day. And we have 3 of the 4 here, but so one of them, you're gonna have to go to like CVS to get it. And so I'm like, okay, I don't even know where CVS is. Like, I'm not from here. So we drive all the way back to the CVS with the dogs. Of course, it's not like ready because I have to like hand them the prescription because I can't call it in for whatever reason. So then I was like, well, I'm not going to sit out like sitting at CVS with dogs and the kids. So I run home and drop off the dogs and come back. And when I go to pick it up, they're like, do you happen to know the dog's birthday? No, I don't know the dog's birthday. I'm like, let's just say it's like September of 2010. I have no idea.
Right.
I don't know exactly how old the dogs are. And then we get the medication and it says Ditto Dog Huber on the side. And so then I'm sure like when the vet was telling me all this stuff, I was like, okay, so which one is for the pressure and which one is for the pain? And like, what, can you tell me again? Like what are these? When do I have to give them? And because I could tell, I probably just looked like a deer caught in headlights because the information was like information overload. And I was supposed to go home on Sunday. And our cousin was going to come watch the dogs on Monday. And I was like, there is no way that in addition to giving shots, I can dump 4 medications onto her lap when she's never even done shots. So I was like, okay, that trip is going to be canceled. And so it was just kind of like one thing after another. Then the dogs weren't eating their food because they don't like canned chicken apparently. And that's why the neighbor lady met me in the driveway with the deli turkey.
That's what I'm saying. Like this trip was like, first of all, it kept getting extended. Like originally we thought that I got there on a Friday night and we thought that it was going to be done by like the following Wednesday, like 4 or 5 days. And I kept thinking like I could make it till like Wednesday. Then it got extended to the following weekend. And then by like Friday of that week, my mom was like, I think it's going to be another week. And so it just felt like this like season of like a lot going on that was never ending. So anyways, now I feel like anything that's going to come up like in the next week, I'm not even going to think it's bad. I'm just going to be like, you know, but I do, I mean, as much as funny as it is, I think it just puts it into perspective too, because I think I talked about this the other day, but I'd asked for prayer requests from my followers, I think it was on Friday. And when I was reading them, I was like, whoa, like we have nothing to complain about. Like, I just think that God really like puts it into perspective for you. Like if you share in community with other people and you hear what other people are going through, like it makes what we were going through like sound like small potatoes. So, I mean, we're so grateful that nothing happened to our dad and that he's safe and home. And you know, things could have gone a lot worse than they did. And so we're just really grateful that that didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, there's like 77 other stories that we could have told you that were all just bad. And one of my nurses called me and told me she thinks I need to be medicated because I'm depressed. And I was like, no. And my friend Brittany, who's a holistic nutritionist, was literally like, do you want her to get pregnant? Because that's not going to help. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, like I could literally go on and on. It was just so crazy. And when Phil got home, since he'd been in the UK, he only had 2.5 days home and they were rehearsing both days for SNL because he did Saturday Night Live this last week. And he was so jet lagged. He was falling asleep on the couch at like 8:30. So it wasn't even like we had quality time because he was so tired, which I don't blame him, like when you're traveling that far. But so I was thinking like, oh, it'll be so nice to have him home. But it went so quick. Like it was literally like he was home for dinner and then fell asleep like an hour after we ate and then went to rehearsal all day the next day. And then he packed and left for New York. So it was like a calamity. Is that what they call it? A comedy of errors?
Comedy ones, yes.
Oh
well,
my gosh, it's wild.
We laughed all week because every time Briggs would be like, "Mommy," and then he would ask a question and you would answer it and he'd go, "Huh?" Like every single time. Like he would respond with "huh" every time you told him something. And then the whole week I would tell the kids to get on their pajamas and Bradley would go, "I don't have any pajamas," because she had forgotten to pack hers. They apparently somehow missed the suitcase. And so every single night she would be like, "I don't have any pajamas." And so for like the fourth night, I was like, "I know you don't have any pajamas. Just put something on."
Like, here's like, you can sleep in what you're wearing. Don't say it again.
I was like, "I got it. You don't have any pajamas."
It's funny because was it 2 nights ago or was it last night? It was 2 nights ago. We were in the car. We were on the way home from the mall and it was about their bedtime. And I was like, "So Bradley, when we get home, are you going to put your pajamas on?" And she's just like silent, like didn't say anything. And I was like, "Did you pack me?" And she just goes, "No." And I'm like, she's in on the joke. She knows. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Well, someday it'll be funny. It's not really funny yet, but someday all of this, it's too fresh.
I still had a good time. It was a change of pace. It was fun to be somewhere else. And we still did some fun things. We took the kids to get milkshakes and we took them to the trampoline park, which was a disaster. We took them to the mall twice. We took them to, what else did we do with them? We took them to the park a couple times.
Actually, the weekend that was the most like relaxing is probably when Marissa was there. Cause it was like,
Yeah,
she kind of brought, our cousin is a nurse. And I was like, because you've like done nursing for so long, she like kind of put her mind at ease, like about everything. And she could like kind of talk us through feeling nervous about stuff. And I felt like that was like, I was like, she was such a nice calming presence to have around.
Well, the thing that was the hard part about the dogs is like people would ask questions and then they'd be like, well, is she drinking? And I'd be like, I mean, I don't feel like she's drinking a ton. She's not drinking a ton. And then you're like, oh, well, I mean, she's supposed to be drinking a ton, and then it'd be like, oh, well, she's then kind of panting. Oh, she's panting. Well, so there's like, every time I said something, somebody was like, almost like gasping. And I was just like, nobody gave me any instructions. I just came down here and was told to feed the dogs. I don't know.
I also told you wrong. I told you instructions wrong too, because I didn't know what I was doing either.
So I have no idea if panting means something. I didn't know if they drank a lot, that meant something. I had no clue. I clearly didn't know that if they're squinting their eyes, it means that they've gone blind and that they have glaucoma.
And we thought it was their blood sugar, so we're giving them sugar.
And then their blood sugar was high. It was just like we couldn't win the whole week. And I was like, I just came down to try to support Kate. Nobody gave me any instructions on symptoms of diabetes or glaucoma. I'm completely in the dark here.
I'm dead that we're literally like feeding them Caro syrup, thinking they're low, and they go the next day and they're like off the charts. We're like literally giving them sugar the night before.
Well, the worst part is that they were like, well, if they perked up with the sugar, you could just give her that all weekend and you wouldn't have to bring her in. Thank God we didn't do that. I was like, well, for peace of mind, since it's Friday and you're not here tomorrow, I think I'll go ahead and bring her in just to be safe. Yeah. And then we find out she's been freaking in pain. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like you feel like such a tool.
Right.
Because it's like, has she been squinting like that all day? And I was like, I mean,
there's like, I've been cleaning up poop off of the carpet. I have not had time to see.
And the pillowcase and the chair. Oh no, wait, you didn't clean the chair. Oh my gosh, that's really
the Bissell is still over there. Mom's probably wondering why that's in her butler pantry. So
yeah, actually, I need to get that back to my friends.
I was trying to get past like the euthanasia before I like filled her in that there's poop on her chair.
All that being said, it was a crazy week. So if you guys didn't see us much on social, well, it was crazy 2 weeks, I guess you could say. That was probably part of it. Yes. That was all of it, actually.
Shockingly, I did not Instagram one thing the entire 2 weeks.
Well, also, we said that we wanted to share our lives with the Patreon more than we did stories. So if you are a Patreon member, you're going to get, more of that behind the scenes. Now that I'm like
a daily video for like the entire first week and a half I was there.
Yeah. I was going to say, going forward, now that I feel more like myself, I was just telling Tara, I was like, I'm excited to like film more content this week. And I put a note in Patreon as well as the Facebook group that like more regular scheduled programming is coming. Like tonight at 7:30, we have our first book club meeting, which will be so fun.
I'm so excited about that. I cannot wait. Also, I feel like if people hop on that, we should see like what days work best for like the evening Zooms. So that way we can do like figure out like the worship night. Cause I want to get that in.
Well, I think we should schedule the worship night for when we're in Nashville. That way we're all.
Yeah.
But we would need to know like what days work best. And like what time and whatnot.
Yes. Well, we will wrap this up. We will do the history quiz the next.
Wait, give us a little sprinkling. Say one history question.
Ask us one question.
Let me look.
This will be a teaser for next time.
A little sampling.
Too easy.
A little sample platter.
What is the name of the ship that brought the Pilgrims to America?
The Mayflower.
Yeah.
And what were the other two?
The Plymouth,
that's
Santa Rosa, Santa Maria,
the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Oh. But then wait, what was the Mayflower?
Oh my gosh! Wait, what's the battle that's considered the turning point of the American Revolution?
Wait. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, I think, was Columbus.
Yeah, it's Plymouth Rock, right? And one of those things.
What was the Mayflower?
It is the Mayflower.
Wait, I know, but wasn't Plymouth one of the ships?
The Santa Maria, right? When he discovered America?
Isn't that the same thing when people came to America as when Columbus came?
Is it?
It's like they're all ships. They all came to America.
I think
these answers should all be correct. Okay, so what is the battle considered the turning point of the American Revolution?
Civil War?
No, the Battle of.
Oh,
starts with a G.
Gettysburg?
Yes. I don't know. Actually, I'm guessing. Oh, it's wrong.
I was like, Gettysburg is definitely more of the the Civil War.
It was Saratoga. Okay, one more. Oh my gosh.
Starts with a G.
Well, Gettysburg starts with a G, but I was wrong.
Think it was Gettysburg?
Yes, I did, but it was the only one I recognized. It was actually Saratoga. What year was the Boston Massacre? I have literally no idea.
What was the Boston Massacre?
The same thing as the Tea Party?
No, I think it's different.
I don't know.
Let's guess 1774. I was wrong. It's the 1770. Wow. It says, can you pass a basic history test? Clearly no. Oh, here you go, Tara. Okay, ready? Name the founding father who was the leader of the Sons of Liberty.
Jeff Hancock.
Not even an option. John Hancock is not an option. Okay, so here's your 4, and then we'll end on this question. John Adams, Patrick Henry, Samuel Adams, or John Jay? Who the heck is John Jay?
Well, John Jay used to play for the Cardinals, and Samuel Adams is a beer. So let's go with John.
Yeah, but wasn't Samuel Adams like an actual historical figure?
No, he was. He was one of the founding fathers. I say John Adams just because he was a president, right?
I'm going to guess Patrick Henry.
Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Adams.
I don't think I ever learned that song. Okay.
For the record, Columbus set sail from Spain in 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, on August 3rd, 1492.
Okay, then what was the Mayflower?
The Pilgrims came on. I think it was just the Mayflower, Tara. I don't think there's more than one ship. I think it's just the one ship. And then they docked at Plymouth Rock.
In American colonial history, the ship that carried the Pilgrims from England to Plymouth, Massachusetts, where they established the first permanent New England colony. Aren't the Pilgrims the people that were like trying to get religious freedom from Martin Luther?
No. I think we established that was like 300 years earlier. Okay, I'm guessing Patrick Henry. Oh, we were wrong. It was Sam Adams. See, always go with alcohol.
Okay, so the first permanent New England colony was in 1620, and he sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
I knew that actually. I remember that. Like,
Christopher Columbus was first. Well, they claim that they think that he actually landed in like the West Indies. Like it wasn't Massachusetts. So anyway,
Massapequa.
So
okay.
Mayflower was correct, and then I was wrong, but there was a Nina Pinta in Santa Maria.
Yeah, it just has nothing to do with this question, which means you're wrong and you lose. Okay, we will finish our quiz on the next episode of We Are Brilliant, and
follow along for more history.
Tell us for more tips. Okay, guys. We will see you in the next episode. Thank you for joining this journey of an episode. Wow, we really just went for it about all of our trials and troubles. And we will see you in the next one. And thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.